Evening, we have our guest here. We are here at an action item A, which is our annual budget audit. As you are all aware, Education Code 41020 requires districts to have an external audit conducted on its financial statements annually. And the general objective of each audit is to be determined as to whether and without me reading for you, there is voice regarding our financial statements. We have a representative from Siobhan and Associates. His name is Paul Pham, who will be presenting the audit findings for you. And I want to make note because it was brought to our attention over the weekend that the audit report was quite extensive. And so we have created an executive summary and included it within the package as well. Thank you for that tidbit, Trustee Below.
All right, good evening, board and superintendent. I appreciate you guys inviting me out to share with you the results of our June 30th, 2024 audit. Hopefully I can simplify some of the extensive stuff in our report for you. So what I'd like to do is start out with our audit process, how we go about conducting our audit, just in case some of you are new to the process. I'll get into some of the key financial highlights for the year, and then I'll round it out with the audit results. And feel free to jump in anytime and ask any questions. Okay, so the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, they put out auditing standards that we utilize in our audits. And because the school district is a local government, the Government Accountability Office puts out government auditing standards for us to use in our audit of the school district. And whenever an agency expends more than $750,000 in federal awards, they're subject to a single audit. And so the Office of Management and Budget puts out a supplement called Uniform Guidance, and we utilize that in our audits to get federal program. And so for this last year, we selected the Special Education Program as the major program for audit. As far as our audit process, we came out about halfway through the year, did an interim audit where we assessed the district's internal controls, exampled some internal controls, tested some transactions, and tested to make sure the internal controls were properly implemented and designed. We didn't have any issues there. When the year was over, the district closed their books. We came back in. We basically crunched numbers, tried to substantiate the ending balances, completed our compliance piece of the audit. So that's our audit process. As far as some of the key financial highlights, if I could reference you to table 1 of the audit report, that's going to be on page 8 or page 10 of the report. And when you get to that, what you'll see at the very bottom is that the district's net position did increase by $2.7 million. Yeah, right there. All right. So that's you see that at the bottom, $2.7 million increase. One thing I want to point out here is if you look at the current assets at the top there, you see current assets went down by about 10.6 million, but your capital assets went up. That's just basically you're converting your cash into the projects that you guys are working on around the district. A lot of that long-term liability decrease there. It's paying down the debt service, some of the adjustments related to your retirement plans. If I could reference you to the second table there on page 11, get into a little bit more detail. So what you see here is operating grants there, as far as program revenues, had a pretty large decrease of $3.3 million. And that was expected. There's a lot of the COVID funding, one-time funding that came through that went away. And so you see the reduction in the revenue as you would expect. Property taxes went down, but your LCFF, your apportionment entitlement money went up. So that's kind of sort of washed each other out. On the expenditure side, what you'll see is the district, at least as of June 30th, 2024, increases expenditures in terms of instruction-related activities, and then decreased about 1.7 when it comes to plant services. And that's going to include stuff like maintenance of school grounds, buildings, and equipment, just to upkeep those particular things. So that's the big changes you see on that schedule. But what you guys really care about is going to be in your funds. So if I could reference you to table 4, which is going to be on page 14. And so here, this is from a year-to-year perspective, you're dealing in your fund financial statements. And so this here, what you'll see is that table, table 4 there. You see overall, the district's fund balance dropped just under $11 million. So a very big drop, but that was expected. You see, the building fund took a big substantial hit there because you would expect to spend down those bond funds. So that's expected there. General fund dropped just a little bit. So if I can speak on that a little bit, since that is the district's main operating fund, and if I can reference you to the very, very back on page 78, this is going to be what's known as a schedule of financial trends and analysis. And so what you'll see when you get to that page is it's going to be a 3-year trend to let you know how the general fund's been doing over the past 3 years. There it is right there. So then you see the general fund drop to 251,000, ending at $9.6 million. Still a very strong reserve, 6.67% reserve. There is a budgeted drop next year. But over the last 3 years, however, you do see that it's gone up just under $3 million. So the general fund overall has gone up over the last 3 years. So you guys are still in a very strong, healthy financial position where you're at. And so if there aren't any questions about the numbers or the process, I can go into the audit results. Yes.
Was everybody candid with you and gave you all the information you needed regarding all the numbers in the district?
Absolutely, yeah. When we audit, there isn't really that discretion there. We follow auditing standards. So whenever you adhere to auditing standards and perform and conduct your audit according to these standards, it mitigates a lot of that risk of in terms of any question of what is okay to accept and not to accept. It makes it a little bit more black and white, you could say.
Okay.
It takes a little bit of subjectivity out of it.
And then what's your relationship to the school district? Are you hired outside? Tell us about that.
Absolutely, good question. So we're an independent certified public accounting firm. The district hired us through an RFP process to engage to provide the auditing services for the district as required. Part of that also includes the bond measure audit, which is under the Education Audit Appeals Panel. They put out a supplement for that.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Sure. Okay. So then I'll go into the audit results. So I'm happy to report, we issued a clean opinion. So when it comes to the financial statements, we had an unmodified opinion, which is a good thing. It means that the financial statements were fairly presented in all material respects. When it comes to the internal controls over financial reporting on compliance, our audit did not identify any deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal controls that we considered to be significant or material. Our test disclosed no instances of non-compliance or other matters that are required to be reported under government auditing standards. And when it comes to compliance, the district complied in all material respects to the compliance requirements of state programs and also federal programs, as well as the bond measure program. There's no lack of a going concern. It basically means that, yes, we're going to keep your doors open for the next year. No significant uncorrected adjustments, no difficulties during our audit, and no disagreements with management. And lastly, I just wanted to thank Diwan and his team. It was a difficult audit just in general because overall, as you know, there's a lot of new state programs. So this year we were asking for a lot of stuff that we hadn't previously asked for. So pretty extensive audits this last year. So I want to thank his team for kind of pushing through and getting a lot of stuff. And it requires quite a bit. It's not just in the finance department. So across the district, with the music program, with the after school program, all that stuff, it's quite an audit. So thank you.
So Dr. Oh, I just wanted to highlight. So Dr. Davis, about our current deficit.
So the difference between what Siobhan and Associates has audited and what we currently have is Siobhan and Associates audited our unaudited actuals report, which was the ending of our 23-24 school year. What you are speaking of, Superintendent, is our current budget, our operating budget for 24-25. And that is our first interim, and we are now working on the second interim.
Can you explain it? I just want another voice to. I think another voice would help. Can you explain what you audited and how changes can happen between one report and the next? From your audit to the first interim, second interim.
To your current first interim,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can change a lot, especially when you're talking about the governor's budget coming out. And we know that at all levels of government, they're adjusting, how they budget, how they're spending and stuff like that because of just the changing economy, the changing political climate and stuff like that. So it's hard to say, it's hard to project some of those things, but as Devon was mentioning, yeah, we audit as of June 30th, 2024.
Mhm.
And so we didn't get into the subsequent budget. That would be this coming engagement.
Yeah, I just didn't want anyone to leave thinking, no, we don't have a deficit, or we don't have a deficit as broad as we do existing right now.
Yeah, and the district did anticipate that, and it is across the board. We do see that across our other clients too. If you you can take a look for yourselves in that financial trend, you guys budgeted for a drop. So you guys knew that this was coming, budgeted for it, as a lot of other districts have as well. So you're not alone in that.
Thank you.
Okay, so all the questions, any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to accept the 2023-24 audit report? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Item C, resolution 2025-02-12-A, declaring results of parcel tax election held November 5th, 2024. Dr. Davis.
This is an action item as C as the board president has mentioned, resolution 2025-02-12A, declaring results of parcel tax election held November 5th, 2024. And it's basically an opportunity for us to certify those election results through the development of a resolution. And so with that being said, read the resolution for us here.
Mhm. Okay.
No, oh, glory.
Okay. Okay. We have it in the packet, it's online.
With that being said, it is recommended that the board adopt resolution number 2025-0212A, declaring results of Measure EE parcel tax election held on November 5th, 2024.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the resolution? Do I have a second?
All against, please raise your hand. Are you for or not against?
Oh, are you for it?
All in favor, please
I'm
raise your
fair.
hands. Motion passes 5-0.
Okay. Item D, resolution 2025-02-12-B, establishing Measure EE Parcel Tax Oversight Committee. Dr. Davis.
We have another action item before us. As our board president mentioned, a resolution 2025-02-12-B, establishing Measure EE Parcel Tax Oversight Committee. Pursuant to this resolution, the Board of Trustees will appoint the Measure D Oversight Committee as the Measure EE Citizens Oversight Committee and adopt the bylaws and guidelines for the Citizens Oversight Committee on file with the district.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution 2025-02-12-B?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Please raise your
Okay. Item E, Workforce Housing Hazardous Materials Abatement Contract. Dr. Davis.
Again, we have an action item before us, workforce housing hazardous material abatement contract. As you know, we're moving into the phase where we are preparing for the development of our workforce housing. With that being said, there's the necessary steps prior to the actual construction taking place. One of those steps prior to the construction is the abatement process. With that understanding, the project includes the abatement of hazardous materials in the buildings and on the site of 930 Onstadt Avenue in Pacifica, where new workforce housing will be built. The Workwood Group, in conjunction with the Director of Facilities for Pacifica School District, issued a request for proposals for the aforementioned project. We have received 9 qualified proposals. The following are the prices. And I will leave that to you since you have them with you. Okay? She's like, can you bring this up? Understanding that we have a representative from the Brookwood Group, Mr. Lewinski is here, who will provide more information regarding this.
Good evening, board and superintendent and public. We did have testing done on the building in August. And we received a report from the testing agency, which went through the building and identified any and all of the hazardous materials that were used during the construction of the building when it was originally built. And of course, under California law, we need to remove all of those hazardous materials and dispose of them properly per regulations that are issued by the state. So we went ahead and issued the testing results as an RFP to the companies, qualified companies in the state of California to do the removal. And as Dr. Davis mentioned, we received 9 qualified bids. There was a fairly large range in the bids, which was slightly surprising. This is somewhat of a straightforward process. So we did some due diligence to make sure that the low bidder had all of the scope covered. There were some questions that were brought up about encapsulating exterior areas of the building where they have to remove some roofing material that has some asbestos in it. And we confirmed that all of those things are covered by the bidder. We followed up with a number of calls to other school districts who have used that low bidder company for their removal of projects, and they got glowing referrals from all of the school districts we moved out to. So we've gone ahead and recommended that the contract be awarded to AFM. They can probably be on site fairly quickly. We'll have to look at the weather and see what impact the weather has, but I think they're ready to to go. So, any questions?
There is a huge difference, not just a small difference in the pricing
Mhm.
and,
So one of them is 128 and then the highest one is 574. I'm just wondering what that conversation looked like. I mean, whoever's looking at all the proposals and what work is done, like why was there such a huge difference between AFM and ATI?
Right. I wish I had a great answer for you. I haven't worked in construction for all these years and seen, bid results. I've seen a very wide range. This could be one of the widest ranges of any proposal. And so it's hard to sort of dissect it. They're all qualified companies. They all had, references. They all presented their employee certificates of their training, their processes and, projects that they had done. So, there's always been volatility in the construction industry, and some people end up in the situation where they don't have as much work to fill their books, and so they're a little bit more aggressive about it. Some of it could be related to relationships they have with the disposal sites, which the disposal site is a very big deal with these hazardous materials. Whether they own their own equipment or they have to rent equipment to do the job. So it's hard to dissect it, and we try not to, we want to give you the best opportunities. So we felt that when we saw that range, that we should really follow up and get underneath the hood. And we didn't find anything that would lead us to believe that it would be a bad choice.
So my question is, and I need to put on my construction hat, change orders. So did anybody look at the difference in the change orders, for example, of AFM, like when you did your telephone calls and got references, and they said, well, the project cost $10, but they actually had change orders in $20.
Right, right.
Did anybody look in that?
We always ask that question because I thought, that always is a big concern, and there were no red flags. There were comments that, well, we added additional scope to it, or there were, in all fairness, there were things that they weren't able to see, and when they saw them, they had to remove them. So there was no red flags that they, low bid it and then, immediately started to change order the process. always a concern, for sure.
Okay, do we have any other questions? All right, do I have a motion to authorize staff to enter into contract with AFM Environmental as described? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Item F, approval of contractor pre-qualification questionnaire. Dr. Davis?
Once again, we have an action item for the evening, as we move into the abatement of and the demolition of the existing site at 930 Onstat. In anticipation of the next phase, we are putting out a questionnaire, a pre-questionnaire, in search of a contractor who will be the individual who will be able to do the work. With an understanding, the questionnaire is part of an RFP process to hire the general contractor for the staff housing project. It is to establish a pre-qualified list of general contractors that we will issue the RFP to. Again, with us here is Lab Weskins from Brookwood Group, who will explain that process to you as well.
Thank you, Dr. Davis, and good evening again. We have been working, hand in hand with CC and with Dr. Davis and George Machado and the county general counsel to come up with the best way to procure the general contractor to build the project. There are 4 or 5 sort of variations on how you can go about procuring a contractor. And we've narrowed it down to 2. What we want to do is make sure that we don't have contractors who are low bidders who, as we sort of brought up, would not really be qualified or would change order the job a lot. And there are some processes that the state has memorialized, which allow us to not just pick the low bidder, but to go through a qualification process. There are 2 different processes that we're looking at. One is just called design bid build, which is very conventional. But we would send out this questionnaire, and if you review the questionnaire, it really gets in underneath the hood of the contractor's business organization, their past experience, whether they have any judicial issues that we should be aware of, any financial issues, the financial health of the contractors, and their qualifications for the type of project. And so what we intend to do is to send out the pre-qualifications questionnaire, review that, narrow down the list to a number that we think represent the correct number, and we get the competition that we need to make sure that we get the price as low as we possibly can. So the alternative means to do this is called lease back, which is, it's a strange name, and there's some legalities that go along with it, but it basically puts the site in the control of the contractor. You lease the site to the contractor during the duration of the contract for $1, and then they give you the project back at a certain time when the project is complete. And it also gives you the opportunity to look at qualifications and not just the low bidder in order to make sure that the correct contractor. So we're looking at the sort of the variations between those 2, and the pre-qualifications questionnaire is relevant to either method that we go with. But we will probably be back in front of you to explain what we're recommending for that selection process soon.
Lease back. That was illegal. What, like 8 years ago? For districts, or controversial for districts to do that? Is it still in that arena?
It's not illegal. It's been, codified, and there's a fairly long, 2-page description about what steps you have to go through. Not that I'm, want to make a judgment about it yet, but it does feel as if that's more complicated than a more conventional process. But CC and I, we believe that we might be able to get a more, I want to say, bulletproof number. That's always the issue, right? I'm of the belief that the best way to go about the procurement process when we have a contractor on board is we have to know there's going to be some change orders, because there's just things that they cannot anticipate. I'm gonna be reviewing, tomorrow morning with JUHSD change order log for the teacher housing project that we built there to understand what they ran into, because that was supposed to be sort of a locked-in contract, but it did increase. Is to have a contingency, you know, we know we're gonna have to have, we're gonna have to spend more money than that number that we first get, and so we have to set aside a contingency to make sure that when those come up, we have the money set aside to take care of it. So that's the approach. So it's sort of twofold: get the best price we can get, make sure that the scope is super well defined and everybody knows exactly what they need to do, and then making sure that we have a little bit of a extra fund to take care of stuff that we didn't anticipate.
So are we doing a lease back or no?
We haven't decided on each one, the procurement method yet.
Okay, because
the-
I'd be a little hesitant until we find more information out about that.
Right, what
yeah.
what I wanted, what I have been doing and will continue to do and work with CC to do this is. There are contractors that, you know, specialize in housing only, and then there's contractors who do housing and they do other types of work, like schoolwork. And so what I'm asking is, have you done a lease back for a workforce housing project? And have you done a lease back for something else? And what I'm getting so far is they've used lease back in some school-based projects, but not for a housing project. And so now I'm trying to figure out, well, why? What's the difference? What is the, and what we don't want to do is use a procurement method that a lot of people aren't used to using and then preclude contractors because they're not familiar with that procurement method. And then, you know, the fewer contractors we have bidding it, excuse me, the less chance we have of getting the best number we can get. So that's why we need to do a little bit more work with CC and the contractors we know to sort of understand the better path.
Okay, so you're the expert. So you're saying that I mean, we're not going to be breaking any rules or anything by doing the lease back?
Not that I know of, and
Okay.
you know, CC has forwarded all the language to me and I've read it. I need to read it about 3 more times because it's a little complicated, but
Yeah.
no, but you know, if we decide to go that method, we'll make sure that we have it locked in. And we had a discussion in August with the general counsel from the county. And we did talk about lease back, and he didn't bring up any issues about it, this legality, and he was familiar with it as a procurement method.
Okay.
So, but we will double check. on that
Thank
for
you. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the contractor pre-qualification questionnaire? Okay, do I have a second? Okay. All right, next we have item G, the comprehensive school safety plan, non-tactical. Martha Ladd?
Evening and thank you. Tonight in open session, we're presenting the non-tactical comprehensive safety plans. I want to thank Jean Bellinger, who is our program coordinator of student services, who worked with our principals to put together both the tactical and the non-tactical plans. As an overview, the non-tactical plans contain information on child abuse reporting procedures, disaster procedures, and emergency response plans, suspension and expulsion policies, discrimination and harassment policies, including hate crime reporting policies enacted to maintain safe and orderly environment, rules and procedures regarding discipline and hate crime reporting procedures, among other things. We also have school climate initiatives like PBIS. New this year, we had the violent threat to school response guidance, and next year we will also have tsunami guidance as well. I also want to say thank you to Captain Romero, who is replacing Captain Clemente, who retired this year at the end of December. I'm asking the board to approve all of our school sites 2024-25 comprehensive safety plans. Are there any questions?
Questions? Okay, let's see. This one here. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the school safety plans? Okay. All right, item H. The approval of Form J13A, request for allowance of attendance due to low attendance on January 17th, 2025.
Once again, another action item for us, before us. On January 17th, the district experienced a small loss in revenue due to due to attendance for that day. We are asking or requesting an allowance for that attendance for the day so that we can recoup those enrollment dollars and that attendance so that we can make ourselves whole. Um, Speaking just more plainly for you, I know you have a report in front of you. The average day that we would have a student body absence was about 200 students. On that particular day, taken from the average, we had an additional 120 students out for that day. With that being said, at $56.66 a day for each of those students, we would recoup, if the state allowed us, to regain about $6,000 in cash towards our funding. So we want to make certain we put that there. With that being said, it is recommended that the board approve our J13A, requesting a material decrease for low attendance.
Any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve Form J13A? Do I have a second?
Okay.
Thank you. So item I, approval to hire coordinator, the Pacifica project pipeline, and approval of job description. Dr. Torres.
Dr. Torres does not like things that are late.
Good evening, Board President Riddall, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Dr. Williams. Tonight, we would like to bring forth a recommendation to approve the hiring and job description of a coordinator of the Pacifica project pipeline. Pacifica School District sees the need to hire a coordinator of the Pacifica project pipeline to support the coordination of the Strong Workforce Grant awarded to the Pacifica School District in its partnership with the Skyline Community College. The coordinator of the Pacifica Pipeline Project will oversee the implementation and management of the Pacifica Pipeline Initiative with the Pacifica School District. The role is focused on developing and strengthening the district's career and technical education, CTE, programs by creating partnerships with local businesses, colleges, and community organizations. The coordinator will ensure that students gain valuable hands-on experiences and career readiness through mentorship, internships, and real-world learning opportunities, preparing them for success in high-demand fields. Therefore, it is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve Pacifica School District to hire a coordinator of the Pacifica Project Pipeline. A job description for the new position of coordinator of the Pacifica Project Pipeline was developed and attached for board approval.
Okay, do we have any questions? No? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the hiring of coordinator of the Pacifica project pipeline? In a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Item J, approval to hire partner program leads for the Big Lift, Inspiring Summer Program, and approval of job description. Dr. Torres.
This year, we have been the recipients of the Big Lift Grant. As part of the grant, there's a Big Lift Inspiring Summer for Students, which includes several Big Lift grant-funded positions. One of those positions is the partner program lead of the Big Lift Inspiring Summer. We have composed a draft job description for your review and approval. This position oversees and coordinates the preparation of the Big Lift Summer Program. The Big Lift Summer Program will be held starting June 16th through July 11th for approximately 69 students with a focus on early literacy. Therefore, it is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve Pacifica School District to hire partner program lead of the Big Lift Inspiring Summer, a job description for the new position of the partner program lead of the Big Lift Inspiring Summer to support the implementation of the Big Lift grant was developed and attached for board approval.
And do we have any questions?
Exciting, yes.
Okay.
Just have one question.
Mhm.
Are any of our teachers going to be applying for any big lift positions?
Yes, we hope so.
We hope so, yes.
I will be
Our
bringing
principals.
more positions to the board in the March meeting.
Mhm.
We've just been working out the details with the ESS department.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the hiring of partner program lead for the Big Lift? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, item K. Resolution number 2025-02-12-C to lay off permanent classified employees. We have two speakers. Tara Knotts.
Okay, this is short anyway. I don't even know what I'm about to read, but anyway, regarding classified staff, just like last year at this time, I'm here again. I want to talk on behalf of the classified staff who are glue to our community. Last year, people were really upset about the Valamar. I think, no, I'm sorry, the IBL secretary type person, admin person, and she knew all the things, just like all of our office staff know all the things about how the schools work. They can tell you why things are done, why they were like this. They can tell you the history. Patricia Buddington is a great case of, she can tell you why Ocean Shore is like Ocean Shore. She has the book of when the plans were designed for Ocean Shore and where the washer went so kids could do crafts and wash their things. She has this huge book and she knew everything. And she can tell you that that school was built because the district agreed to expand it. It was already a K-8. It was a K-8 since 1978. And they agreed to expand it and grow. And that site was made so it could grow to at least 350 kids, which it succeeded at doing and exceeding. Anyway, Patricia, other admins, particularly, classified staff, particularly that work in the office, but also paraprofessionals, they are the glue. And as we lay them off or give them slips or whatever it's called, particularly as we are talking about these schools that are affected by school moves, these staff are what would help keep the culture for that co-location that you have all told us is why we co-located, to keep that culture. Those people have got to come over at least part-time because they are literally will explain to you. Ocean's 411, by the way, is not 411, is not a day. It's not a whale on a door. It's 2 weeks and tons of volunteer coordination, teacher coordination, people coordination. It's a lot. If you don't have a voice like Patricia, how can you know? Yeah.
Okay, and John David.
Good evening. Excuse me. Good evening, board members and Pacifica community. Regarding action item 12K L and M, quote, the layoffs, which is piggybacking on top of agenda action item 10A from January 22nd, the school, quote, K-8 dismantling. I stand here tonight with one simple message. Do not let anyone tell you that you cannot speak up. Do not let anyone tell you that you must remain silent. If you are a district employee and you feel trapped in a toxic workplace environment, you have the legal right to speak out. You have the right to report concerns to board members, to the public, and to oversight bodies without fear of retaliation. And let me be crystal clear. If anyone in this district retaliates against you for doing so, that is illegal. Under California's Whistleblower Protection Act, Labor Code Section 1102.5 and federal whistleblower laws, it is unlawful for the district or anyone in it to punish an employee for reporting wrongdoing, financial mismanagement, workplace abuse, or any other matter of public concern. If you are pressured to stay silent, that is a violation of your rights. This district thrives on secrecy, but the antidote to secrecy is transparency. And that is exactly what we are fighting for. Tonight, we say no more. This community is waking up. Parents, teachers, and taxpayers will not be divided by fear tactics or rushed backroom deals. We are fighting for truth, transparency, and the future of our children's education. We have filed a lawsuit to hold this district accountable for its abuses of power, its reckless disregard for students, and its violation of public trust. This is just the beginning. Do not be divided by the culture of this district. Do not let them pit parents against teachers, teachers against staff, schools against each other. This is our district, our children's future, and our community. Join us in the fight to unify Pacifica and take back control from this fast-rushing, deceptive school district. Together, we can hold them accountable and demand honesty, transparency, and respect we all deserve. Thank you.
We would like to bring forth resolution number 2025-02-12C to lay off classified employees. We have been working with our CSEA and its chapter number 128 labor partner to communicate with employees that will be affected. Classified employees may have bumping right options or may elect to take a vacant position or be put on a rehire list. Education code sections 45101, 45114, 45117, 45298, and 45308 authorize the Pacifica School District to lay off or reduce classified employees for lack of work or lack of funds. Due to a lack of work or lack of funds, certain classified services now being provided by the district must be reduced for the upcoming school year 2025-2026. The superintendent or designee is authorized and directed to give notice of reduction of services to the affected employees of this district pursuant to district rules and regulations and applicable provisions of Ed Code not later than March 15th, 2025. Would you like me to read the resolution? No.
No, we have it in our packet.
Is that a no?
No,
Okay.
no, we have it in the packet. Okay.
It is
We've all read it.
recommended that the Board of Trustees adopt Resolution 2025-02-12C to lay off or reduce hours of classified employees as indicated in the resolution due to lack of work and or lack of funds. This resolution is being brought to the board at this time due to the provisions in Assembly Bill 438.
Are there any questions? Good. Do I have a second? Oh. Okay. Item L, resolution number 2024-02-12-D. The intention to terminate certificated employees due to reduction. And we have a speaker, Megan Elsbrun.
In my role here in Pacifica School District as both union president and classroom teacher, I am in a constant swirl of information. In most conversations, I have to make a mental note for myself if information I am receiving is coming at me as a teacher or as a union president. Earlier this evening, I spoke as union president Megan, sharing frustration at the amount of cuts here on this agenda item. There are so many cuts here to our certificated bargaining unit. I spoke with Dr. Chavez Torres this morning to get more clarity, and at this point, I can sort of understand the rationale of what's going on and the hope to bring back some of our multiple subject and single subject positions. Now, as frustrated classroom teacher Megan, there is one cut that is particularly disappointing. For the past 17 of my 23 years in the district, I have taught 7th and 8th grade social studies at Cabrillo. For all 17 of those years, we have had some sort of district-provided PE for our 6th through 8th grade students. It started out every other week, then for many years it was just 1 day a week. Eventually, we built it up to 2 to 3 days a week on a shared basis with Valamar with a credentialed PE teacher. Cabrillo K-8 has ebbed and flowed with our 6 to 8 enrollment, and a consistent common theme for people choosing the comprehensive middle school is the daily PE offering. Now with this cut, Cabrillo will be the only K-8 school in the district, and we face this cut of a physical education teacher. No PE will be taught by a credentialed PE teacher for the middle school students at the one K-8 in the district. Union President Megan was in those conversations, knowing the desire of the community to maintain a K-8. I also heard the 3 goals, and one of them being enhance. Frustrated teacher Megan is annoyed that this cut was not ever properly shared with the families and staff at Cabrillo. This is a significant cut to our middle school students at Cabrillo. I would hope the board reconsiders this to support our students, to ensure all middle school students in Pacifica School District receive adequate and comparable PE instruction. Thank you.
We would like to bring forth resolution 2025-02-12D, intention to terminate certificated employees due to a reduction of particular kinds of services, and also adopt the following tie-breaking criteria. Pacifica School District has determined it shall be necessary to reduce or discontinue the following particular kinds of services of the district no later than the beginning of the 2025-2026 school year, and the certificated positions listed in the resolution be reduced or discontinued for the 2025-2026 school year. Pursuant to provisions of Education Code Section 44955, the governing board of the Pacifica School District is required to determine the district needs should it become necessary to determine the order of termination for certificated employees who first rendered paid service to the district on the same day. Would you like me to read the resolution?
Sorry. Aren't we required to have PE? So if we're required to have PE, yeah,
Yes, we are required at elementary schools, it's 100 minutes a week. At 7th and 8th grade comprehensive middle school programs, it is 200 minutes a week. Multiple subject teachers are able to teach physical education. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and I think we've done that before in the past. And so, I can't remember, but I just wanted to make sure that where are they going to be getting PE and what time? Is it going to be by one of the multiple credentialed teachers? Where are they gonna?
that's something that's negotiated with the, that's something that's negotiated with the union during
Sorry,
negotiations.
sorry.
And it's my understanding that these notifications go out by the 15th, but then there is a period of time where they can be rehired. So it's not,
Correct.
so there is time to find another path.
And things will change from now through April 15th.
Mhm.
By contract language, we do have to post all vacancies by April 15th. And also by contract language, all of our employees need to know their tentative assignments a little after April 15th.
Thank you.
Okay, so they have to be noticed by the 15th of March, but they can be rehired back by the 15th of April. Okay,
It is, I'll read the recommendation.
okay.
It is recommended that per Education Code 44955, the Board of Trustees adopt Resolution 2025-02-12D of intention to terminate certificated employees or positions due to a reduction of particular kinds of service no later than the beginning of the next school year, and adopt the following tie-breaking criteria to determine the district needs should it become necessary to determine the order of termination for certificated employees who first rendered paid service to the district on the same day.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the resolution? Do I have a second? Okay. Item M. Resolution number 2025-02-12-E regarding notice of intention to non-reelect probationary certificated employees and to release temporary and probationary certificated employees.
You would like to, no speakers?
No.
We would like to bring forth resolution number 2025-0212E, notice of intention to non-reelect probationary certificated employees and to release temporary and probationary zero certificated employees. Education Code Section 44929.21 subdivision authorizes the governing board of the Pacifica School District to give notice to a probationary certificated employee of the board's decision to non-reelect them for the next succeeding school year to such a position at any time on or before March 15th of the employee's second complete consecutive school year of employment by the district. Education Code Section 44954 Subdivision B authorizes the board to give notice before the end of the school year to a temporary and probationary zero certificated employee of the board's decision not to reemploy them for the next succeeding school year. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees adopt Resolution 2025-0212E to give notice of intention to non-reelect probationary certificated employees and to release temporary and probationary zero certificated employees as indicated in the resolution.
Do we have any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the resolution? Do I have a second?
Thank you.
Okay, item N, 2025 CSBA Delegate Assembly Election. Dr. Williams.
Thank you. I thought I had to get it on. Thank you. Almost there, everyone. So it is recommended that the Pacifica School District Board of Trustees vote for a candidate to serve as a 2025 CSBA delegate for the Delegate Assembly for Subregion 5-B. Madam President, if you'd like to take a motion for that recommendation.
Okay, so there, it looks like there are three candidates to fill three vacant seats. Three candidates to fill three vacant seats. So do I have a motion to select candidates Gregory Land, Andrew Lee, and Francesca Segre to fill the three vacant seats at the CSBA Delegate Assembly? Okay, do I have a second? Okay. Item 13, Board of Trustees Superintendent's recap and future agenda items. Yeah.
That's my,
Okay.
that's my recap.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I just want to reiterate the bond, again, having an update and possibly looking at new projects since it's been a while. And then also I wanted to have a discussion about the possible inequities that's happening in our district with the PTOs and how much money is going to each student at each PTO school. I looked and we have anywhere from 60,000 to 500,000 that our PTOs are raising.
In reserve, yeah.
And so there's definitely an inequity there. We just don't know what. So if we could just explore it.
Okay. Anything else? No? Okay, we'll adjourn the meeting at 10:10.